by that point, it's really become quite the place to send middle class, upper middle class American Catholic families. It's kind of interesting to see this rise of a growing middle class Irish Catholic population, particularly in Chicago.
To serve this population, the Sisters of Mercy sought to emulate academies on the East Coast, which were transitioning into four-year colleges. In 1915, the new St. Xavier College opened its doors to female students on its existing campus on 49th and Cottage Grove. Yet, the racial changes spurred by World War I, when thousands of African Americans migrated to Chicago from the South, soon created challenges for the college.
In the racial changes going on within the city of Chicago, and economic changes going on, that where St. Xavier was located at 49th and Cottage Grove was becoming a more economically challenged area. And the white population was moving out from that.
These racial changes caused the enrollment of both the academy and the college to decline. And in 1947, the sisters decided to move the institution further south. In 1956, St. Xavier Academy was renamed Mother Macaulay Liberal Arts High School, then was relocated along with St. Xavier College to Central Park Avenue between 99th and 103rd Streets.
You could be born at Queen of Martyrs, go to elementary school, come over to Macaulay, do 4 years at Macaulay if you're a female, then go to St. Xavier and do 4 years.
I think that it was really important, especially in that time, to create a college for women, just so that they had some means of self-empowerment.
But the 60s quickly brought great changes to the college. In particular, the convening of Vatican II Council in 1962 changed the contours of the church and soon the college.
And it was convened by Pope John the 23rd, who was originally thought to be a short-lived pope because he was older when he was made the pontiff. And it was a huge international surprise when he convened an ecumenical council, because ecumenical councils are convened when there's a problem that the Church Universal needs to address. And nobody perceived that there was a problem.
One of the great things about Vatican II is that it really emphasized the role of the laity in the church. So sisters, being among the laity, had probably a sense of empowerment, maybe a little bit of liberation, in the sense that they could contribute more fully into the life of the church.
This is inspiring women religious, like the Sisters of Mercy, to think about how they live in community. How do they govern themselves? How do they think about their ministry? Do they get a choice? What's interesting that is developing at St. Xavier is that sisters can take theology. Sisters weren't supposed to take theology. In a sense, it's that cliche that they get wrong ideas. So once they start getting the Vatican II theology and the novitiate, they're learning about the changes as they're happening as opposed to being dispensed to them from their local superior.
Vatican II soon spurred an upheaval among the sisters. In the wake of Vatican II, hundreds of sisters left the Chicago order, many of them searching for new spiritual outlets in the newly opened church.
I don't think it was the intent of the council. Certainly the church fathers never expected that the innovations they brought about would result in this mass exodus. I don't think you can rejoice over the sisters that we have without having some regret over the sisters that we lost.
College, in some ways, was kind of a center for a lot of change. I think the biggest thing that happens during the height of the 60s is that John the 23rd symposium that takes place, that they invite all these Vatican II theologians.
It was, I think, one of our proudest moments. When you talk about the Second Vatican Council, that's a historic moment of monumental proportions. Well, the brightest minds who were at that council in Rome all gathered here on this campus.
For students, however, perhaps the biggest change was the arrival of men.
St. Xavier went coeducational, I think, in the 69-70 academic year. because my recollection is the first year I was here was all female, and I remember very tall men, because the first men who came were recruited for basketball, for sport.